Hey guys, this is Plini. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about how you can take all your favorite pentatonic licks and reapply them in different contexts to sort of allude to different modes or discover new sounds, all without really putting in much effort. As guitar players, one of the first things we learn is this amazing pentatonic, which sounds good. It still sounds good throughout your whole life, at least that's my opinion. But there comes a point once you delve into more, I guess, progressive styles of music that no longer sounds as intriguing as it did when you were younger. And this might lead you, and it certainly led me, on a quest to discover new scales. But what I found is if I learn a scale that has like crazy different tensions or relationships that aren't comfortable to my ear, it's kind of fun to mess around with, but when it comes to writing music, it doesn't output anything that feels necessarily a genuine emotional expression. And so when I write music, for some reason, I'll always just come back to pentatonics. But there are ways you can use them outside the more obvious ways that almost accidentally you end up alluding to all these different scale fragments. So if we start off with just a simple A, you probably wouldn't find that on many prog albums coming out in 2017. But for instance, if we do that over D, what we end up with is this second here. Instead of, in a D pentatonic, we'd have the third. But instead we have, which already is a little bit more interesting, but you can still and so that's a way you can noodle around with all the comfortable patterns, but over a different root note or over a different chord, and discover new sounds. So another choice we could make is using F, which would be and in this case I'm coloring it with the major 7. And so what we notice is that if we have this major 7 chord, that's the most prominent note, which is the 7. And so if we approach this chord being an F major by wanting to play an F major pentatonic or a D minor pentatonic, we would be ignoring that really cool note that lives in the chord. So in that case, you can, without sort of having to think too much or get too complicated, just figure out which pentatonic has that special note in it and use that. And then so maybe you've only learnt one lick in your entire life, but you can apply that to all these different contexts, which will then be musically appropriate. So over this one, so we took the A minor pentatonic and we played it over A, which is its most comfortable scenario, and then we went up a fourth to D to discover that that relationship there, and then we move it to F to pick up the major 7th and also this 9th here. But you don't have to necessarily always think of this in a really theoretical way. You could just move the chords around wherever you want. So a fun one to go to next might be it's cool because to our ear that is contextually quite musical, but in isolation it's fairly disgusting because it's, and I guess so that's an interesting and simple way to take things that are comfortable to your hands and ear and apply them in ways that will leave you accidentally in disgusting but really cool musical situations.